So that's some of the popular literature, some of the more academic and solid research that's been done. And I just want to end by giving you some details of the study that we did at BCIT, which was really what precipitated our interest in this topic, and particularly my interest. And so as I said at the outset, this was a study that was trying to determine the communication preferences of our students. And it was a two-part study that first of all began, we did interviews with about 69 students to try to identify some themes. And then we took those themes and developed a survey that we then administered to 440 students in 14 different courses. And that number of students is actually chosen randomly, and it's a large enough sample for us to be able to generalize to the BCIT population. So the questions were based on the NetGen literature and on part one of the study. So what we tried to do is incorporate into our survey some of the claims that had been made about the net generation to see whether our students actually fit that profile, and as well as try to determine their communication preferences. So it had sort of two goals to the study. And I should be clear that this is all self-reporting, so it's all students. We didn't observe them using technology. We asked them how they were using it. We asked them whether or not they fit the characteristics of the net generation. So we're relying on their self-reporting. And it's interesting. I think the results are very interesting. What we also did is we compared, because within that group of 442 students, we had NetGen students and we had non-NetGen students. And we compared the two to see if there were any differences and whether those differences were significant. And so in this table, you can see in the left-hand column are the characteristics of the net generation that we took out of the literature. And then we have the level of agreement, so whether students agreed that they fit that characteristic, and then the level of significance. So to what extent did the NetGen and the non-NetGen students vary in the extent to which they fit these characteristics. So if you look at those, there really is no strong, significant difference on any of those. There is a small relationship in terms of being connected and multitasking, with the NetGen group being slightly higher. But it's not a big enough difference to really be able to say very much. But the other ones, digitally literate, experiential learning, structured learning, the NetGen and the non-NetGen students, no significant difference. Now, admittedly, the NetGen students do strongly agree that they are digitally literate. They're moderately in agreement with the idea that they're connected and that they multitask, that they prefer experiential learning and structured learning. But so do the non-NetGen students. Group work, one of the frequent claims made is that this generation likes to work in groups, it likes collaboration. There's actually a low level of agreement with that, and no relationship, significant relationship or small significant relationship between NetGen and non-NetGen. The idea that they're social, moderately high, goal-oriented, moderate, preference for text, moderate, community-minded, moderate. And again, if you look at the significance, nothing stands out as being significantly different, just a small relationship in the group work and the preference for text. In terms of how they communicate with their peers, we asked them, gave them a number of choices ranging from BCIT email to all the way to use of the course management system and a whole range of other options. And again, if you look at the level of use and the significance, there's nothing in there that suggests a significant difference between how NetGen students and non-NetGen students prefer to communicate with their peers. The highest ones are personal email and text messaging and talking on the phone. So other than the text messaging, there's nothing in there that's particularly advanced technologically. Communication with the instructors. We asked them, gave them the same choices and asked them, and it was interesting there that there were some differences. They preferred to communicate with their peers in ways that were slightly different than their instructors. Much more willing to communicate with their instructors with email, but much less willing to use text messaging. To them, that was text messaging is something they do for social purposes. It's not something they really want to do with their instructors. But again, no significant differences between NetGen and non-NetGen students. A small relationship in terms of WebCT. But interesting that the highest rated mode in terms of communicating with instructors was talking in person.